Harp friends, it's Elizabeth from Harply. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you all about tuning a lever harp. Now, why do we have to tune anyways? Don't you get like a professional to come do that once every year or so? Well, with the piano, that's true. With a harp, unfortunately, no. Harps are more like guitars or violins. You, the player, are responsible to tune it. And if you don't tune it, it's not going to sound good. It's normal for the strings to stretch and get out of tune, especially if the weather's changing. If it gets really hot, really cold, if it gets really humid, really dry, or if you're moving the harp and the whole thing is shaking, all those are going to make it get out of tune a little bit faster. If your harp is kept inside your home in a nice temperature-controlled area, away from direct light of the sun or a lot of changes, it's probably going to hold tune longer. But no matter how you keep your harp, you're still responsible to tune it. Now don't be worried, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I recommend that you tune all the strings on your harp every week. Now, some people tune their harp every single day. Some people every other week or so. But really every week is a pretty good amount. When you first get your harp, or if you haven't played it in a long time, the strings will probably be very out of tune. And so it might take a little bit more work to get them to start holding tune. But the great thing about the harp strings are they want to go back to that safe, comfortable zone. So if they're used to holding tune in the correct tuning, then they'll want to go back to that. And you'll only have to make minor adjustments each week. If you haven't tuned it for a long time and they're used to holding something out of tune, then it's going to take a while. You're going to have to tune it multiple times until it starts holding that tune again. So even if you're not playing for a while, I always recommend tune your harp at least once a week. If you've played other instruments such as a violin, you may know that you can play a string a little more sharp or a little more flat by pushing different amounts on the string. The harp is not like that. It's more like the piano in that once it's in tune, when you play the string, that's just how it's going to sound. So if you don't have your harp in tune, you might be plucking the correct string, but it's going to sound bad or off. And so you have to have it tuned so that when you do all that work to play the correct strings, it sounds beautiful. There's several tools you're going to need in order to tune your harp. The first thing is the tuning key. Now your harp should have come with one. All harps, if they're made new, are going to have a tuning key. If you got a used one and maybe the previous owner lost it, you might not have one. Now, unfortunately, not all harp tuning keys are the same. We do have different sizes of the hole, and so you need to make sure that you know what size you need to purchase for your harp. If you have a starter harp, it will come with a tuning key, and if you lose it or you want a spare, you can order more from our website. The second tool you'll want to have is an electronic tuner. Now again, these come in a wide variety, but we have provided one for you here at Harply to make it really easy. Our tuner can be found at harply.com/tools, or if you simply log into your Harply account, you can go over to the tools and see the tuner, metronome, and other tools that we've made available for you. When you first open it, I have mine on my phone here, it's going to ask you for permission to access the phone's microphone. It has to hear the string in order to tell you if you're in tune or not. So make sure you hit that blue OK button to allow it to access the microphone. Once you've done that, you'll be able to see this tuner where you've got nice, bold, big letters. It's going to tell you what note you're playing and if it's sharp or flat. So you can see that green section right at the top. That's like the happy zone. That's where you want that needle to be pointing. When you pluck a string, of course, right now I'm talking and it's going all over the place because the pitch of my voice is changing. But if I were to talk in a monotone voice, it would stay pretty much the same. So you can see it's going all over the place. If the needle is pointed to the left, it means you're too flat and you need to tune the string up or tighten it. If the needle is pointed to the right, you're too high or too sharp. You need to tune the string down or loosen it. And I'm going to show you in a minute how we do that. But this is going to tell you which direction you need to go, as well as when you're in that happy green zone and you're able to move on to the next string. Another really useful tool for tuning that you don't have to have but is really beneficial is colored rubber rings. On the starter harp, we have these blue and red rings on the levers so that you can see where your C and F notes are. You also have your blue strings and your red strings. However, if you want to, you can also put these little rubber rings onto the back of the tuning pin, back here in the back of the harp, and then that'll help you make sure that you are putting your tuning key onto the correct string. If you're tightening, and it's not moving, you probably accidentally went onto the wrong string and you're accidentally tightening the neighbor of the one you're trying to do. So be really careful that you're always on the right string. What I like to do is I look at the top. On the top, I can see the pin going through. For example, if I'm trying to tune this red string, I can see the red string up here. I see the pin going across, and I know I'm on the right one. I'm going to be tightening the correct string. There are multiple ways to tune a lever harp. I always recommend that when you're a beginner just learning, that you tune it to the key of C. That means with all of your levers down or disengaged so that they're not pressing on any of your strings, when you play that, it will play the key of C. And I'll explain more what that is in a minute here. If your harp is already tuned to a different key and you want to keep that, that's okay. Just know that the lessons in this program are going to assume a C tuning here at the beginning because that's what I found is easiest for beginners. The order in which you tune your strings can also vary. There's multiple acceptable ways to do it. However, if you're just starting out, the easiest way is going to be from the bottom up. So the first string you're going to tune is your very bottom string. That's going to be the lowest or longest string. On my harp, it is this bottom red string, which is my low C. Then I'm going to go up one string and keep going all the way till I get to my very highest C. I'm going to tune all the strings, not just the ones that I'm playing. If I'm only using a song where I use a few in the middle, I still tune the whole thing because, remember, I want all the strings to learn where their happy place is and want to hold tune at that correct pitch. So if I tune them that way now, they're going to hold there rather than trying to hold as really flat or really sharp. Another important thing to remember is that you should always keep your hand on the tuning key while you're tuning. What I see happen often is people will put the tuning key onto the peg and then they'll let go, they'll go do something else. And then one little bump to the harp, it falls out, it can damage your soundboard, it can hit your floor, do something there. So it's really safest that if your tuning key is on the peg, your hand is on it. If you need to take it off, set it down, maybe on your music stand or on your chair so that you can do whatever it is you need to do. But be safe. I keep my right hand on my tuning key and then my left hand is going to be plucking the string for me. Don't forget, before you start turning that tuning key, to double check that you're on the correct pin. If you overturn your string and you tighten one of the strings too much, it will break because it's not designed to withstand that much pressure. Now you're going to have to go to our other video on how to change a string, and that's not what you want to do when you're first starting out. Hopefully your harp arrived with all the strings intact, no broken ones, and you can just carefully tune it up so that you don't have to worry about changing your first string for a while. So let's go into the mechanics of how we actually tune the harp. If you look at the way the string is wound, it goes around the tuning pin. On these, I can see that it curves this way around it. So if I turn my tuning pin or push my thumb so that it goes that way, it's going to pull the string more and tighten it. If my note is too high or too sharp, I'm going to move my thumb backwards towards myself, which is going to loosen the string more. So if you forget which way is which, just look at your strings and see how they're wound around the pin. You want to turn it so that it tightens, pulls it more up, or loosens it. On most harps, the thing to remember is turn clockwise to increase or make it sharper. Turn counterclockwise to decrease or make it flatter. Now you want to do this in very small turns. If you put your tuning key on and do a big quarter turn, you're probably going to break the string. So it's just very small. Sometimes it's almost like I'm kind of tapping on it or just giving it a little tiny push. Now you're going to use your electronic tuner to see how close you are. If you're really far off, yeah, you might do a little bit of a bigger turn, but most of the time the tuning is just, I mean, you could barely tell that I'm even moving my hand. That's about how much you would want to tune it when it's just regular, when you're holding tune. So let's try it. I have my phone here where I'm going to be able to see the note. I'm going to pluck for you our first note, which is our lowest one down here. It's my low C, and we're going to see what my tuner says it is. Oh, says it's pretty much in tune. It has the correct note down there. It says C. And that's what we want. What we do not want it to say is C sharp. Do you see how it has that little sharp sign? Looks like a hashtag or a number sign, pound sign. That's the sharp sign in music. And we don't want that. If I see that, it's not the right note. It's too high and I need to tune it down. If I see just the regular note, and sometimes it might pick up ambient background noise, this is going to pick up the best when it is touching the harp. Sometimes I'll actually set my phone on the harp, or I will set it on my music stand pretty close to the harp, and then it's going to pick it up much better than me holding it far away from the harp by the camera here. So I'm looking for it to have the right note name in the bottom, red C, and then I'm going up D, E, F, G, starting over A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it just keeps going. And I don't want it to say sharp or flat. And I know that it's good when it goes up to that green box. Let's go ahead and try the next one. I'm going to pluck my D. Let's see if it says D and if it's the correct tuning. Oh, it says C sharp. So it's not high enough for the D. So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to put my tuning key, I'm holding it like this. I'm going to put it on the D, and I'm going to press my thumb. Notice it was a very small movement. You could barely even tell that I did anything. And I'm going to pluck it again. Let me show you what that says. Again, I'm not leaving this up there. Since I'm moving my hand to show you, I'm going to take it with me so that I don't drop it. Oh, we're on the right note now. It says D. That's what we want. But are we pointing up top to the green square? No, it's too far to the left. That means it's too flat. So I need to tighten it a little bit more. It's going to be very small, just that little bit of wrist movement. Again, I'm making sure I'm on the D. I'm going to push a teeny tiny bit, and I'm going to pluck again. I'll show you what we have. Oh, I'm really close, but I'm still too flat. So I'm going to do it again. Teeny tiny movement. A little bit more. Okay, let's show you what we have. And there I am in the green. Now, yes, the best is for it to sit right exactly on that top point, but I've given you this green box to give you an idea of anywhere in here is close enough. It's going to move a little bit because it's a vibration. The string is vibrating, it's moving back and forth. And so that's going to cause the wavelength or the sound pitch to vary a little bit. So you'll see the needle moving. If you're within that green, then you are good. All right, let's try our next note. This one should say E if it is correct, because we did C, D. Next in the alphabet is E. Well, it says E, but my needle is too far to the right. That means it is too sharp. I need to tune it down or make it flatter. Okay, I'm on the correct note. It's not the wrong note, so I don't have to do a big movement. I'm just going to go just a tiny bit back like that. I'm on the correct note, and I'm going to move just a tiny bit and see what happens. Do a little bit more. Let me show you where we are now. Just teeny tiny movements so that I don't overdo it. Oh, I'm closer, but I'm still too sharp. Let's go back. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Here we go. There we go, in the green. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to get it as close as you can. You're going to keep doing that. F, G, A, B, C, all the way till you get to the top. Now, be aware that the top notes, very, very tiny movements make big changes. If you can't get it exactly in the green, try to get it close. And if you need to err a little bit on one side or the other, I typically will err a little bit on the sharp or to the right, because over time as the string stretches, it's going to slowly lose tension and it's going to go a little bit more towards the left. So if you can't get it in the green and you're just dancing back and forth, a little too sharp, a little too flat, leave it just a little sharp and you'll be fine from there. So let's recap. Before you can play anything on your harp, you must tune it. I always recommend that beginners tune in the key of C. Make sure all of your levers are down so that none of them are pressing on the strings. Make sure that you have the correct tuning key for your type of harp, as well as an electronic tuner, such as the one that we have provided for you on harply.com/tools. You're going to start at the bottom with the lowest or longest string and tune each one until you get all the way to the top. You're going to pluck the string, look at your electronic tuner and see, is it too sharp or too flat? If the needle is too far to the left, it's too flat, and you need to tighten it by pushing your thumb so that the string gets tighter. Teeny tiny movements, not big ones. If you go too far, you will over tighten it and break the string. If the needle is too far to the right, you need to go flatter. So you're going to move counterclockwise, kind of backwards with your thumb to loosen the string a little bit. And you're going to do small movement, pluck the string, see what it says. Small movement, pluck the string. Keep going back and forth, looking at your electronic tuner to know how close you are to your target. Once you get that needle to be anywhere in that green zone on the top, you are good to go. Move on to your next string. Remember to tune your harp every week, preferably before your harp lesson. Your harp teacher will thank you for it so that you can sound your very best. All those beautiful notes you're going to be playing will only sound beautiful if your harp is in tune. It's going to take a while to get used to tuning it. You're going to be slow at first. That's normal, as with anything that's new. But the more you practice, the easier it will get to tune and the faster you'll get at doing it, and the less often you'll have to tune because the harp will want to hold tune there. So go ahead and give it some practice tuning so that you are ready to play the harp. Now let's go practice.